To attune means to bring into accord, to harmonize, to synchronize, to resonate with. These are all terms that I think are very relative to what I'm referring to when it comes to tuning in to a different frequency, in particular a higher frequency. As mentioned, I think there are various ways to get tuned in or attuned to a higher frequency. One of the ways is through chemical consumption, to introduce into our bodies THC, for example, from cannabis, or any number of chemical inputs, right? It can also be achieved by, let's say, meditation or exercise or eating the right foods or thinking in a particular way, getting passionate. All the ways that you can conceive that gets you buzzing, to put it bluntly, that gets you in a state of like a heightened state where your perceptions are more clear and you are susceptible to more, forms of truth. Explaining it in a state of being high from taking weed, for example, I think it's one flavor, one variant of being attuned to a higher state. And so I can describe what it's like in that state with THC. But I haven't explored much at all in different forms, as I mentioned previously. Exercise, like, for example, I went swimming properly for the first time last night. And I was given a heads up that if you implement a proper form of exercise, a structure of exercise, you have a routine of going for a swim, and then you go to the sauna, and then you maybe have a cold shower to then regulate your body temperature back down again until you stop sweating. And then afterwards you do that, you come out and it's like you're floating. And so I didn't try the sauna, but I tried the swimming, and the swimming itself was just a whole new experience. It was a whole new world. It was fascinating. I had no idea how involved it is in terms of self-development, self-awareness, self-control, self-empowerment, with controlling just simply the act of timing your breathing and lowering your heart rate and trying to make your motions, your swimming motions, be less exertive and more controlled and efficient. All of that. There's so much to it. It's crazy. And to feel as quickly as I did the development between when I first arrived, and I'm naturally panicky in water, and I'm naturally a very inefficient swimmer because I'm panicky. My heart rate just goes, and I'm not able to control my heart rate, and so therefore I'm not able to control my breathing, and so therefore I'm just expending so much energy, and I'm inefficient, and I'm panicky. It's a self-fulfilling kind of prophecy. And the whole notion of having a practice that allows you to focus on one thing at a time. Okay, so I'm going to do one length, not even a whole lap, one length, where I just focus on my breathing. You can do that. Or like I did, I tried to implement all the advice at once, and I guess that's why I'm able to develop much quicker than other people. I understand things and I try things much quicker, and I'm able to develop. I don't like taking things in small steps. I like making big leaps. If I can see it's possible, I try it. So I gain a lot of feedback myself because I'm receptive to it. And I think that's also starting to attune into a higher form of I don't know, energetic perception. I don't know how to call it. A higher frequency where I'm able to recognize certain truths and I'm able to zone in on them, lock them in, and if I apply them and focus on those and I get positive development, then I grow. And it's recognizing this as a fundamental pattern that I have instilled within myself. I just haven't done it across the areas where I really need to focus on because I'm so heavily resistant. Anyway, it's getting noisy now. I'll pause. So, attunement is a concept of a subject that I will continue to develop. It's just dawning on me. And terminologies like this really help kind of put it into context and to wrap my head around it logically, so then I can implement rational, logical steps, practical steps to lean into that and to take advantage of it, to utilize it as a tool to get me where I want to be, to become what I want to be. So yeah, attunement. I think I'll practice more forms of attunement. Any way that gets me in a quote-unquote higher state. Anything that gets me slightly buzzed. Anything that helps me feel higher and floating, and I notice myself having more open perceptions. Like sometimes, like now, I feel like I'm slightly in a higher state. Even though it hasn't been initiated by THC, I haven't smoked weed today, or within the last several hours, like 12 hours, 24 hours. No, longer than that. And so, this is just from discussions. I had my CBT first talk, and I answered some questions, and I talked about some recurring things that's my main issue. And just by doing that, focusing my attention into a really important area, something that means a lot to me, I'm already starting to attune. And when I explore that area in a positive light, thinking creatively, thinking optimistically, rather than in a detrimental way, thinking negatively, feeling negatively. Fortunately, if I respond to it positively, whatever I'm focusing on, it will magnify. So that's what I'm doing when I'm feeling high or I'm attuned. I try to focus on the really important things to me, and that maintains the higher frequency way of receiving. And I'm walking around, and it's in a strange and subtle way. I can see more truths. I can feel more truths. And by that I mean, for example, strangers passing by, I feel like I can hold eye contact because I'm understanding them somehow on a weird way. It's not even like I can hear messages or it's hard to describe. It's very subtle. It's like my perceptions are just more opened. And so if I allow myself to maintain eye contact to someone who might feel as if they are looking for attention or they need some support or they just want to have someone empathize with their immediate story. Strangers in the street, if you hold eye contact with people who are also open to, unknowingly to being connected with, then I feel like it's perfectly achievable to create a bond with a perfect stranger just simply because you're vibing in a higher frequency and you're more open to it. And I don't have my own blocks to block the two-way connection. In an attuned state, I feel the possibility being much greater that I can create new possibilities if I want to. If I focus on a stranger, for example, I can create a bond with them. I can create rapport and they will open up. And because they open up, it will only be natural for some new possibility to come our way that's mutually beneficial. And it's through me just being more, as an example of someone who's in a form of attunement. I attune to what I see, and that magnifies and it creates possibilities. I don't know how else to describe it. It's subtle, but it's there, and I feel it's like a truth without being able to, I don't know, logically explain it. There's a mechanism going on that I'm starting to become aware of, but I can't really explain it.